Hello, everybody. Welcome to my van. I am not out on the road right now. I'm in my garage because this is my first time filming like this in my van. And I'm probably going to try a few different setups until I find something that works. But making a new channel here. If you don't know, I've got a few other channels out there. One all about music, me performing music and talking about instruments and things like that. And one all about movies. But I started driving for DoorDash recently. And I feel like there's a ton of interesting things that are happening, and I find them interesting, and I want to talk to people about them, and I talk to my family about them, and I tell stories about them. But so many interesting things are happening every night that I go out that I start to forget things that have happened before. So the reason I'm making this channel is this is not going to be a tips and tricks channel. This is not going to be how to win at the side hustle economy. This is just for me to log these stories in a format that is going to be very difficult for me to lose. So this is primarily for me, also a little bit for people that know me, that are interested in how this goes. But additionally, with it being the internet and YouTube, if anyone else is interested in trying something like DoorDash and they don't just want people trying to sell them their marketing tips on how to do the best, if they just want stories of what it's like to do, that's what this is going to be focused on. Now, right now, the only thing like that I'm doing is DoorDash. So that's what these videos are going to focus on for the time being. But I'm naming this channel Sam Tom Miller Side Hustle because I might do some other things. And also, for branding reasons, most of my channels either focus on the S or the M for the Sam Tom or the Miller. So I've got Sam Tom Miller Music, Sam Tom Miller Movies. I'm going to have Sam Tom Miller Side Hustle. Got a couple other channels in the works. But let's get into the story for this video. My very first DoorDash. So I had kind of been looking into it. I was looking into ways to make some extra money. And my first thought that led me down this rabbit hole was, I have a pretty nice newish car. Maybe I should try something like Uber. And so I was talking with some family members about it, and it turns out that my sister-in-law has driven for DoorDash before, and someone mentioned that to me. So I talked to her, asked her a whole bunch of questions. She was very helpful. And then we had a day, my main job is a teacher. We had a day that we had off during the week. And I just went on YouTube and watched hours and hours and hours of content on DoorDashing. And I got excited about it. And I was planning to go that weekend with my sister-in-law for her to kind of show me how it worked. And so I downloaded the app and I filled out the things that it needed me to fill out. And there was a background check. And I thought that I'd be lucky to be approved by that weekend. I thought that I might have to wait even longer. But I was approved later that day. And so I went out for the first time that night. It was a Wednesday night. Now, I'll talk more about my area in a later video, but I had to drive about 35 minutes to get to the area that I wanted to dash in. And I think it was, I don't know if they had a bonus. Yeah, they did. They had a bonus going that started at 9 p.m. So I drove there. And I arrived, and I pulled into an empty parking lot to wait for orders. I started up the app, and I got several orders right away that I rejected for one reason or another. And then I got an order that I thought looked good, and it was to a Chinese buffet called China Inn. And so I accepted the offer, had no idea where the restaurant was. I didn't really know this area, this town, very well. So I was trusting the GPS. Took me to the restaurant, fine, no problem. I went inside, and somehow she knew I was DoorDash. I still don't really understand how that happens. I don't know what kind of alerts they get when I say that I've arrived at the store in the app. I don't know if it's just because, maybe I don't look like their normal customer. They did seem like they were closing up and cleaning up, so maybe they just assumed that people wouldn't be coming in to dine at that time. But somehow she knew that I was there to pick up an order. So I gave her the information, and she told me that they were still working on it and it was going to be a few minutes. So I said, okay. And they had some chairs near the entrance, and I sat down in one of the chairs. Now, in all the videos that I had watched, a lot of them are several years old or multiple years old, and they're from a time before the pandemic. And they kept talking about how you want to make your customers happy so that they give you a good rating and possibly better tips. Although in my experience, the tip has always been shown before the order, but I guess there is a way that they can add to it later. I don't think it happens very often. But the rating is important also, your driver rating. And so one of the easy things that people kept saying to do to help make your customers happy was to throw in extra things like silverware and napkins and ketchup packets and whatnot. Now, I picked up eventually on the fact that that was a pre-pandemic thing, and nowadays the bags are sealed with, everything in there. Sometimes even the drinks are inside the bags. So like throwing in extra stuff doesn't seem like a thing that happens now. It's certainly not something that I stuck with, but I had that in my head, and I'm sitting on this chair waiting for my order. It's my very first order, and I look and I see on this little table next to the door to go out, I see this table with a tray of silverware. And so I think, oh, great, I'll just grab a couple of those on my way out, throw them in. Extra silverware, right? And it would have been easy enough to just grab them on the way out. But for some reason, I don't know, I was nervous. I was self-conscious, and I don't know. I just didn't want to be weird about it. And so when the order finally came out, it was several minutes that I had to wait. When the order finally came out, I stood up and I leaned over towards the silverware, and I looked at the server, the worker, and I said, "Is it cool if I take a couple of these?" And as I said that, I turned and I looked back at the tray of silverware, and that's when I realized, because my vision's not very good, that's when I realized that this was not disposable plastic silverware like I thought. This was their buffet silverware, their metal, real silverware. And I turned and looked back at the worker, and she just had this look on her face like I was the biggest idiot in the world. Like, no, obviously you can't take our silverware. And I felt so embarrassed, and I said to her, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was metal. I thought it was plastic. Obviously I can't take this." And then she went to the table that I had been sitting next to and kind of leaning on, and on that table was plastic silverware. And so she took some out for me and put it in the bag. But I felt so stupid and embarrassed, and I was like, well, guess I'm never coming back here again because I feel so dumb. But I took the order, went out to my car. Now, I was already late, although it's become something that I just now expect, that when I say I arrive at the store and it tells me when I'm supposed to pick up the order by, it's probably going to be late because most stores are slow. But I believe the order was supposed to be delivered by 9:07. And I didn't get out of that store until at least 9:08, 9:09. I know it was after the time. Not a whole lot after the time, but after the time. So I got in my car, I hit confirm order, and then I clicked on the directions to take me to this person's house. And getting to the building was not the difficult part. That didn't take very long. GPS did fine. But then I got there, and I realized that it was a duplex or a multi-unit building. And my GPS, when I got there, told me that the building that I was at was 111 through 115. Now, addresses are a little weird, but to me, that meant that there were 3 units, right? If it's all the odds, then it would be 111, 113, and 115. And when I checked the app, the Dasher app, I was supposed to be delivering to 115. And I'm looking at the building, and I see 2 doors. And one of them has clear numbers, easy to see numbers that say 111. The other door, I cannot see any numbers. It's past 9 p.m. It's dark. I can't see any numbers. And I'm thinking to myself, if that's 111, and this building is 111 and 113 and 115, that door is probably 113. And I need to deliver to 115. So I got out, turned on the little flashlight on my phone, and I'm trying to look for numbers. But I'm trying to also not look like a creep walking around with the flashlight trying to look in people's windows or something. And so I'm kind of going up to this building and shining the lights to see if I can see any other numbers, but I can't see anything. I don't want to get too close. I kind of peek around the side to see if maybe there's a third door on the side. I don't see anything, but it's dark, so I don't know for sure that it's not there. I'm walking around for a while. I message the guy through the app, and I tell him, hey, having some trouble finding the door. You know, I'm here. I just don't know which door to take it to. I got nothing. No response from him. So after trying to inspect this one building a little bit, I decided to go and check the building on either side. Well, the building on the side closest to the next street was facing the other way. So I'm like pretty sure that's not going to be it, because I think that address would be on that side street, not this street that I'm on, which I've learned is not always correct. But that's what I thought at the time. And I went back to check the building on the other side, and it was like 107, like clearly not that direction. So I'm like, okay, it's got to be this building. I just don't know whether it's this door or not that I can't see a number on. So I thought maybe there was another door around the side that I couldn't see with my little phone flashlight. So I got in my car and I was going to drive down the side street and use my headlights to try to get a better look. Well, I got in my car and I drove to the end of the block and I went to turn, and there was a sign that said, dead end, no outlet. So I didn't go down that. So I just did a U-turn and came back across the street of where I had been before, which probably made me look like a big idiot if anybody was watching me. And then I get out again and I'm just walking up and down. I'm checking the other side of the street just in case. I'm like, I know these should be the even numbers, but just in case. Couldn't find anything. Finally, it's 9:27. So I've been at this for like 15 minutes. And it's 20 minutes past when the order is supposed to be delivered by. And I'm just like, you know what? I've tried to contact this guy. I've been out here walking around. He's not helping me. I'm going to leave it at this door and hope that that's the right door. And then I'm getting out of here. So I walked up to this door, and I get maybe 2 or 3 steps further than I had gotten before when I didn't want to get too close. And then the light from my cell phone is able to pick up some numbers on the side. And it's 115. The door that the very first door that I thought. And the numbers were there. I just didn't see them before. So I wasted 15 minutes looking for this thing that was right in front of me. So I go up and I left the stuff. Took the picture, which I didn't realize I had to do. If I had known that, then I would have been like, well, even if I leave it at the wrong place, he'll see where it is, right? So I wouldn't have wasted so much time looking. And then I took off, and I felt bad because he left a good tip. But that was my first dash. It took nearly half an hour, and I screwed up at pretty much every point that I could have. I embarrassed myself at the restaurant. I took forever at the residence, and there was no reason for it because the information that I needed was there. I just didn't see it. So that was my very first dash, and that's going to do it for my very first video on this channel. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.